swap. Genevieve Navarre Franklin discovered the joy of personal storytelling on her first visit to the Moth at the Freight and Salvage in Berkeley on July, I don't know what the date was. It was in July 2017, where she was astounded to hear her name pulled from the hat first. Oh my goodness, that is a heart stopper, and that's a very large audience too. Since then, she's told stories at live and virtual storytelling events, such as the Moth, regional story swaps, and Toastmasters, as well as corporate conferences. Captivated throughout her life by the effect of words on the human spirit, she draws on her experience as an immigrant, a cancer survivor, a mediator, a judicial interpreter, and chaplain, and the unforgettable years she shared with her sight-impaired, chronically ill, yet magnificently loving partner, Dawn. She seldom won anything but hearts. She could want nothing else. And here she is to tell her story, A Soul Rises, Genevieve Franklin.
Thank you so very much. I'm gazing over the Evergreen Cemetery amid 50,000 people, all held together in breathless silence. Abraham Lincoln, rising from the chair his tall body had been folded into, has just spoken. On this 19th of November, 1863, in just 2 minutes of consecration, the president has fully captured the essence of the 3 fateful days in July that have come to be known as the Battle of Gettysburg. My name is Ginny Wade. People around here don't spell very well. If I ever go down in history, it's probably going to be as Jenny Wade. My beloved sister Georgeanna is somewhere here as well. Some people joke that we're secessionist sympathizers, what with supposedly being named after 2 southern states, Virginia and Georgia. But nothing could be further from the truth. Our family lives a ways from here, north, on Breckenridge Street, where Mama, Georgia, and I have supported ourselves and our 3 younger brothers as seamstresses ever since Father, so debilitated and broken, was committed to an asylum. When Georgia married John Lewis McClellan, they moved into a 2-story duplex in a red brick house on Baltimore Street, no more than a stone's throw from here at the base of Cemetery Hill. Out of nostalgia, she took the quilt she had made when she was just a little girl of 5 with her. Her husband, John, mustered out with the Pennsylvania Infantry just this last November, not knowing that she was carrying his child. He's out there still. Mama moved so she could be close to Georgia around the time sweet baby Louis was born on June 26th. Thinking it would be safe, we decided I would stay at our home with my youngest brother and Isaac, the 6-year-old we cared for as that dear little child couldn't walk. But the winds of war were gathering, so I carried little Isaac all the way to Georgia's house, then returned for my brother, locked the door behind me, put the key in my pocket, and walked back. By Wednesday, July 1st, a fierce battle was raging in the north, but then it shifted southward. It was terrifying. Instead of being safer at Georgia's, we were caught between Confederate sharpshooters in the front of us and Union soldiers retreating and counterattacking behind us. Soon the walls of our house were pockmarked with dozens and dozens of bullet holes. We could neither leave through the front nor access our outside cellar doors. But the plight of the weary Union soldiers tore unremittingly at my heart. And a sight door allowed me to dash to the water pump and fill pitcherful after pitcherful of water to slake the soldiers' thirst. Soon, while Georgia and Mama cared for the children, I was able to set about baking what bread I could for the famished boys. On the next day, July 2nd, the house was rocked violently by a 10-pound shrapnel shell fired from Oak Ridge, intended for the Union's position behind us. Instead, it went through the roof and traveled diagonally through the attic. It punched a hole through the thick concrete wall that separated the two units and lodged in the opposite overhang. It's still there, undetonated. God help us. I'm chagrined to say, I fainted from the fright. But still, before retiring that night, Mama and I set out sponge ferment to rise overnight, to bake bread again in the morning. I was well awake by 4 a.m. on the 3rd. I kneaded the dough, left it to rise, and began my morning devotions. The Lord is my rock and my salvation. Of whom shall I be afraid? But when I got to, when evil men advance against me to devour my flesh, Georgia fell apart, begging that I stop. And of course I did, saying to Mama, if there is anyone to be killed in this house today, I hope it is me, as Georgia has that little baby. Maybe I should have kept on praying after all. At 7 a.m., a barrage of Confederate bullets broke every pane of glass in the parlor window beneath which I had been resting. Then a bullet hit Georgia's bedpost, ricocheted against the mantel, and landed where she, the baby, and Mama were lying in a pile of shards. We were trapped, and we were trembling. But there was still bread to be made. At 8 o'clock, I ventured into the kitchen to shape the dough into loaves, then asked Mama, please ready the stove fire. As soon as I spoke those words, a bullet bore through the front door, then improbably drilled through the kitchen door as well. And undeterred by those obstacles, it struck me in the back, below my shoulder blade. I fell. On hearing the sound, Mama turned to look, and with an eerie calm, went into the parlor and said, Georgia, your sister is dead. The mini ball had come through my heart. And thus I became the only civilian casualty of the Battle of Gettysburg. Georgia let out a scream fit to wake up all the spirits in the land, but I was not to return. In some way, I could sense their panic, and I wanted them to know. My heart trusted in him, and I am helped. But they could not. Their cries brought a small group of Union soldiers who, knowing the family was in such dire danger, braved their own death by coming into the house to move them to safety. There was no way other than through the attic. So the forlorn group crawled across it through the very opening in the concrete wall that had been made the day before by the shrapnel shell, and back down and into the cellar of the south-facing duplex, where its residents, a woman and her 4 little children, were already sheltering and shivering with fear. Those young boys then took Georgia's cherished quilt, wrapped my body in it, and carried me with such respect up those same steps, through that same gap, down those same doors, into the dark, dank cellar. I can't imagine what it was like for the little band huddled closely in the shadows that night. I could hear them in hushed tones for the sake of the children, reading the same psalms that I had said that morning. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. The fires of battle were at least extinguished on the following day, the 4th of July. It was George's birthday, but neither that event, nor the founding of our nation, nor the Union's hard-won victory were observed with hurrahs by those there. At 5 p.m., the soldiers placed my body in an abandoned casket, my dress flecked with flour, and my hands still encrusted with dough, and quietly lowered it into a reverently dug grave. Thus was I buried in the yard at George's house, and there my body remains today. Perhaps someday I too will rest in this now ravaged cemetery when it returns to its once peaceful glory, to lie by those who valiantly fought so that this nation shall not perish from the earth. If that time comes, I hope that Jack, my dear betrothed, will be buried near me. He died on a faraway field of battle 9 days after I did, never knowing that I had preceded him to the holy grounds. We were to be married in September. Besides the key to the Breckenridge house, when I was struck down, his photograph was as ever in my pocket. That evening, Mama took the dough that had been waiting in the kitchen and baked 15 loaves of bread for the brave and bedraggled boys in blue. I wonder if President Lincoln will ever know that we too fought the battle, not with bullets, but with bread. Dedicated to all who, even now, fully give their last measure of devotion for the cause of freedom, and to the hands that feed them. Slava Ukraini.
Thank you so much, Genevieve. What a relevant story. OJ put in the chat that he felt like he was in the middle of a battle during your telling. And there was something so powerful about the story being narrated by a corpse, particularly powerful. Thank you for that. Forget how much different the weapons were in the American Civil War than they were in the Revolutionary War, that houses were being completely splintered apart, just like the human lives of those who were suffering through that war.
Well, the invention of the mini ball, which is a French invention, made all the difference because she was hit by a mini ball which would go straight through.
Yeah.
The other balls used to kind of wiggle and kind of lose their momentum.
And it went through two doors.
It went through two doors in a straight line.
Yeah.
And lodged in her heart. And she was wearing a corset.
Yeah,
So it stayed within her body.
amazing. And thank you for bringing it home to the Ukrainian struggle that is happening now, and the struggle to feed people as well. Genevieve, that was really beautiful.
Thank you. It's been waiting to be told.
Yeah.
And you, Brandon, the story that I told at the last story swap is the companion story to this one.
I could tell. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve.